welcome back to Inception Podcasts. And this conversation today is with the one and only Fay. Fay is part of our secret panel. I don't know why I keep saying the secret panel. It's just a panel. We're all going to get together and just chat and argue and laugh and, throw insults at each other. But we really be going deep into consciousness. So thank you for watching the podcast. Remember, this is not an interview. I say it every time. It's a conversation between Fay and me, or Fay and I, because I'm the posh bird, obviously. Her Zoom room to my Zoom room. Now, Fay is an artist like myself, so obviously I have a great, love of Fay because she's a wonderful artist, and she calls her art galactic art from other planets and dimensions. Yes, I'm reading off my auto cue down here. This started with Fay in around 2007, when along with another friend, she had a very close encounter with a UFO. That experience changed her life completely. So Fay has actually experienced what the podcast has been speaking about, the fractalization of consciousness. So the conversation today is not going to be about Fay's experience with ET per se. That will come out when Fay comes on the show Open Minds later in the year. Today is about consciousness and our connection to ET. Now I've got all that out of the way. Welcome, Fay. I'm not time traveling because normally it's with the USA guys, yeah? And we're in the same time zone, aren't we? It's like normal.
Yeah. Whatever time is.
Whatever time is, we're in it, but we're on the same time. So, because I normally say to the USA guys, I'm in the future and the future looks good because I'm here, so don't worry. They're like 6-8 hours behind us, as it should be, Fay, should it not? Right. Okay, Fay. So let's start our conversation. I've already started fiddling with this. I'm chilling. What is your understanding or your truth? And we all know truths can change anytime as we experience more and learn more from each other. But what is your truth? What is the human experience that you're going through? What do you think it is?
The human experience I'm going through at the moment, at this time, is to be a shadow person and a real person. The shadow person, to me, is the person on Earth. The real person is consciousness.
Wow, what an analogy. Go, girl.
So the shadow, sorry, my phone's just gone. I won't go set.
That's okay. Well, guys, as you can tell, this is reality we're in, and the phone is going. I've muted my phones. I would do that. She's now going to tell them all to piss off. I'm doing a podcast. So we'll just wait for Fay to come back. Oh, it's got to happen in the UK. The Americans always get it right. They switch off their phones. We'll just wait for Fay.
I'm really sorry about that. That was a shadow person deciding to come in.
You know what? I so relate to that. I've just told the audience, Anyway, it doesn't matter what I've said to the audience. You'll see it.
Yesterday, I thought, when I do this interview, I must remember to take the phone off the hook.
I just said that. Yes. I just said that. I just said to the audience, hello, look at me. I muted all the phones. I did that prior going on a podcast. But it doesn't matter, Fay.
I think that's good in a way, because as I'm talking about consciousness, the human side of it doesn't connect in that way. The human side of it still carries on. The earth still evolves.
Yes.
We're still doing the washing. We're still getting the dinner ready.
We're still having the G&Ts.
That's it. And the phone's still ringing.
Yeah.
But I do apologise for that.
There is no need for an apology. There is no... Who said... Where did the belief come from? You can't have a phone call coming through. It's just, we're just, forget it. It doesn't matter. We're just having a conversation if we would, and the phone rang. So it doesn't make no difference. However,
as soon as I mentioned the shadow person,
the phone rang. We're not digressing down that road, not on this podcast. Let's pull it back. Let's put it back to what is a human experience. You were talking about your truth, your understanding, your expression of it, and the analogy is fantastic. Please, could you continue?
The thing is, it's like, I find the contact since I had my experiences is, it's like, the only way I can explain it is it's like inspiration, it's like thought coming in, it's like a whole book being opened, but there's nobody writing it, there's nobody reading it.
So would you define that as, within your analogy, the shadow being and the true being, which is consciousness? So would you define that or not as this is occurring, as Robert's, changing our language, even though he can't speak Italian himself, he called etchings. Yeah, you know about that. The etchings. So it's consciousness becoming aware of itself. So as that becomes aware, what the Homo sapien would perceive as is knowledge or information or downloads. Is that what you're saying? Does that make sense?
That's part of it, but the main part I find is being a whole different thing altogether. Because
another being.
Yeah, in a way, yeah. we don't need any form.
No.
It is everything that a normal brain does, but it's not normality.
I'm with you. Okay, so could we, because this is really juicy, could we then say, because that opens up to me, it's consciousness, and it's like another being. Could we also look at that as it's the human being and the shadow being, as you call them, coming together as one and making that new being?
Well, once you have a UFO close experience, you always say that we're all one. Everything is one. Nature's all one. We're part of nature. We're part of the universe. Mm-hmm. So, yes, it is one. But the consciousness is a different concept altogether.
Absolutely. I'm totally
because it's like a train can go along a track, an old steam train, and it's chugging along. But then out of the funnel comes this smoke and it just disappears. But without that and what fuels the smoke, it can't move. And it's like the smoke that comes out is the consciousness, because it's not really substance.
I'm with you. Can I just ask you, your camera is shaking. Are you able to stabilize whatever you're using this podcast on? Because I'm getting a bit seasick. As you move your arms out, you've gone like that. I'm going with you. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. It's because I had it on my knee. And
you know what? She forgot to turn the phone off. She put, her Android on her knee. So when she moves, we all go with her. That's fine, Faye. That's fine.
All right. You're interacting with me.
She's going to start. She's not as gentle as she makes out, guys. This little old mature lady, not old lady. This little mature lady. Okay, so I'm loving hearing your personal truth. It's fantastic. I want you now to tell me, coming from that perspective, what is the human experience about then? The Homo sapien experience about. You've spoken of the interaction with, obviously, ET that opened up your consciousness, and you became aware of this information. So now you're aware of that. What is this human experience? What's it about? Well, what is it about? What do you think?
I think the human experience is about evolving, and as we evolve, so consciousness becomes more of the beating heart than what the human heart is.
Oh, how lovely. That's lovely. Why can't I say profound and deep, sentiments like that? And anyway, I like it. Do go on.
It's because, like, we have to have the human experience to be able to welcome in consciousness. If consciousness just came in without the human experience, we would be lost. Because
without, you couldn't have a conscious experience, whether good, bad, ugly, without consciousness. So yes, it answers itself. That's a really beautiful analogy, Faye. I like yours.
Oh, thank you.
And it's better than Robert's as well. Yeah, let's pick on Robert Day today, can we? No. Okay, on that one, let's take that and merge that into, if I asked you, who are you? Who am I? So if you said, who am I? Who are you, Faye?
Consciousness. I don't regard myself as having a body. A body is just a vehicle from the earth.
Can you tell that I like that answer? Not that it matters if I like it or not. I resonate with that. That I resonate with. That is coming from my perspective of non-duality. I like that. Okay. She's just said it like that. Simple. Right. So now we're going to the next area. We're carrying all this with us to go deeper down the rabbit hole. Why are you here? But a deeper perspective, not a surface. Why are you here? You consciousness in the shape and form of a Homo sapiens sapien. Why are you here?
Well, I believe I'm here to actually have a human life. But I also am here to expand my human life.
Wow.
So that it blends in with everything else that just is just. It's just being. It's just it. It's when I pass on from this life, my consciousness will expand even more, and I will experience other things, and whether it's other planets, whether I'm an ET or whatever I am, I don't have to have an image. There's no reason for me to have an image, but it's like an actor, in order to be part of the play, I have to wear the costume.
Love it. I use that analogy as well. Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, I do as well. The world is a stage and we are all the players. I think I just plagiarized someone called Shakespeare there. Please don't report me. That analogy, I've used that. There are multiple analogies, and the whole point of this podcast is we're all, here we go again, my orange analogy. We're all experiencing the same experience, but we're experiencing it differently. So we use different analogies. So my analogy, that I may use another one, may not resonate when I speak of it, but your analogy would. So the whole point is the diversity of consciousness experiencing Homo sapiens sapien experiences and awakening to its true self in such a diverse and rich and wonderful way. But I like yours. You should write a book.
I've got one, but it's not written. But
she's going to do it. She's going to do it, and it'll be premiered on my podcast. Trust me. Okay, right. I mean, you're easy to have a conversation with, because we actually resonate a lot. We know that. So I'm going to try and make it difficult for us. Dig in to be prepared. because we need to have a bit of diversity in here. So on that, we'll carry all that forward as we're building this picture up, you know, this, what is consciousness? So I'm now going to ask you, with all of that, what is this reality, Faye?
The reality we're in is just like a page on a book.
Expand on that. Come on.
And as we read the book, so it does expand. And so we either want to read more, we either want to shut the book, or we either want to go back and read that page again. But I find that reality is portrayed to us through consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So we could be in a reality anywhere. As the consciousness expands, so the picture is drawn.
Okay. I'm not letting you get away with that. No, we're going deeper. We're going deeper. Okay. Consciousness is a page in the book. I have no problem with that. I sometimes use the analogy. It's like looking through a virtual reality, you know, or a dream, or being in a movie, watching the movie, the observer, and being part of the movie. We can throw out as many analogies, but at this state and time and now we're in, we need to go deeper to expand on that. So this reality is made up of consciousness. Would you perceive this reality on the back of your truth, of turning the page in the book, as, oh, bear with me, a simulation, an illusion, a hologram? Or give me the science to your theory. Give me the backbone to your theory. Go deeper and tell me how that works.
I don't think anybody could say precisely how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But we are the viewers. We are the creators of it all. Okay. And I think reality is what you create.
Okay. Let's try another way in. For example, we're all aware of quantum physics and energy. Obviously, you spoke of that, like when you pass. Consciousness is just vibration of energy. It's energy. Okay? So everything that we perceive and observe in our reality is energy vibrating at a frequency that brings in, when the observer looks at it, form. When it doesn't look, it's a wave. It's an energy. Okay? But it's still information. So on that premise, okay, bear with me as I try and dig this out of here. We have to come that the human experience is a polarity experience for consciousness to experience. So we've got good and bad, up and down, Newtonian law, evil, not evil, and all the above, to experience the human experience. If we didn't have these laws in place, we wouldn't be able to, consciousness would not be able to work with any other perimeters. So if everything we perceive, because not everybody is aware of non-duality, not everyone is even aware of their essence, their spirituality, their consciousness. So I want to take this deeper and broader. So for those that are just coming in, you know, to this field, to trying to understand what the hell is going on in this reality, and they are asking, not coming from the background we're coming from as experiencers, but they're asking, what's going on? What is this? Which is good. They're starting to question this reality we're talking about, which is starting to fractalize it. However, can we go a bit deeper? Can we say, well, consciousness is creating this reality for consciousness to experience the human experience? If that's the case, explain to me what the Homo sapiens sapien, or you call the shadow, if I've got that the right way around, what is the evil?
I don't think there is any evil. There isn't any evil.
I know I'm in agreement with you, but could you expand on that? Why is there no such thing as evil? What's your way of perceiving that?
Well, it's the same as black and white, and you have to have one to recognise the other. But evil is again an experience. If you're classed as evil, then you're experiencing the other side of love. You're experiencing the other side of source. You're experience, and we have to have that in order to learn.
Okay.
So if we're put in a reality and we lead an evil role, we may murder somebody, we may rob a bank, we may be cruel to somebody, but that again is another experience of a different energy.
Yeah.
And that's why the energy of love becomes so much more expanded, because we've already experienced the energy on the other level. That's
yeah. No, it's your truth, it's your perception. I can, from coming from a Homo sapiens sapien, from the human, without, let's say I'm not aware of consciousness, to say I'm not aware of the bigger picture, the source. If I come for many years, what I experienced as a human being, which at one point I, suffered post-traumatic stress from, I still in that limited conscious mind at that time knew that experience had got me to where I was now. I realized, although I still had that victim mode in me at the time, that there was a reason, there was something. Obviously hindsight's a bitch. Now I totally understand it was just an experience coming through, experience in all things at all times, in all places now. So I do, it's just, this is the beauty of having these conversations about just consciousness, because we're all experiencing ourselves differently. And this is a conversation that is not had. There's conversations out there of my belief is this and my belief, but no one goes deeper down the rabbit hole and says, okay, let's talk about actually what are we experiencing? Because in a nutshell, it's about experience and observing the experience and growing from the experience. So I love your analogy. I love your truth. That's I think it's beautiful. I mean, you've got to know, guys, Fay, when I first met Fay, she said, oh, I'm not educated. I don't know anything. She lied. Listen to the woman. She lied. She's got some deep shit inside. She lied. She's good. She's good. And I have to try and play clever with her to get more out of her, because she's holding it in. She's a bit like Ryder. Ryder holds it in. He's got more. He's going to go boom one of these days and blow all our minds. Right. Let's keep this conversation going. So now I ask you a question. Fay, who is ET, what we call ET? Now we're in this reality, we are where we're in. Who is ET?
When I first encountered ET, they scared the hell out of me. And but now I regard them as helpers, mentors, sometimes testing people, testing ETs. and there is all sorts of energies from the ETs. But as we progress with the ETs and we become more at home with their presence, with their consciousness, with their energy, as we become more at home with them, we just accept them as a greater expansion of what the human is. And they have so much to teach us, but then on the other hand, they want to learn so much from us.
Mm-hmm.
And as those two intelligences come together, so the human, the ET, the consciousness expands again. And it's a whole concept of everything coming together, everything being one. But it doesn't just happen like an explosion. It has to integrate into each other. And as we do that, so the consciousness expands.
Wow. See? Thought you didn't know anything.
I know, but
that is beautiful. I love your expression. I love it. It's so different from mine and anyone else's, but it's the same thing. And this is, guys, where another aspect of the podcast is stop judging other people and their truths. Allow the truths to come out. You always learn from another because they're just a reflection of you. It's the whole point of it. I love that. So now we're going to go really, really deep. Stay on the conscious podium, so to speak. How are we connected to them? Now, I've had this discussion with the others, and we've spoke about, we've got our reality 3D experience, yes. They have always been here. However, we have not always been aware that they've always been there. And due to whatever we want to label it, awakening, it really doesn't matter. They're now in our 3D Newtonian reality and fractalizing more and more. So this has to, or does it not, be the next stage of the human experience? If that is so, they have to be consciousness just in another form. Does that resonate with you?
Oh, perfectly. Yeah, it does. And it is consciousness in another form. Years ago, when my drawings first came, lots of them come in human form. So being able to communicate, I asked why that was. And they said, because the human brain accepts forms it recognizes, which makes it easier for the consciousness to come in, which makes perfect sense to me. Because even though some people's experiences are quite frightening, there's still the form there. And consciousness can be any form it likes. In fact, I always have this feeling that when people see ghosts or forms of their former loved ones, that's consciousness coming in again, but it comes in a form that's dear to your heart or a form that you recognize. But nearly always when that happens, there comes a message from consciousness: don't worry, you'll be okay, or so-and-so's going to get married, or whatever. It's all reality.
It is. Every experience we have, if we put some attention on it or use discernment, every experience, interaction, everything we observe has a message. It's information. We can label, because we're trying to articulate the unarticulate. We can't. It's just too, anyway, it's information, the sharing of information. We as Homo sapiens sapien, when we're experiencing that, is verbal, but that's still energy, that's still data, that's still frequency. If I say to you, I hate you, whatever, that, forget the word, the tone and the frequency that comes out will hit your frequency and have an effect. So an intentional effect upon you. If I turn around and say to you, I love you. I do love you, Faye. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, I love you too.
I'll be coming down when you move. You take
That's
me around
okay.
Glastonbury and
Quite welcome.
I'll cause havoc. I'll be the speedboat in Glastonbury. So I resonate with what you're saying. So the information, like from, and I don't want to keep saying to the audience the experiences, every single Homo sapiens sapien, each one of you on this 3D, whatever we want to call it, Earth, is an experiencer. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't an experiencer. It's not just a special select few because they've had contact with ET that you're divided. We're not dividing. We're bringing together. You know, that's a polarity of the 3D experience, them and us. However, I think even Robert raised it in a better way than I, which I hated him for, being an academic. You know, he does it, you know, he says, most people, if they really thought about it, they've experienced something of the supernatural or phenomena. They can't quite, but they chose not to put their attention on it. So, you know, we know all our children see something. So we come in open and experiencing whether it's spirit or ghosts or dimensional beings. So, yeah. I think we've nailed that. Do you know, this is a very easy interview because we are so much resonating from the same, you know, whatever, Trevor. Anyway, so let's see if we can really go deeper. So we know how we're connected now. We've done that. So with all that, Faye, why are they here or appearing in at this moment of time? Why are they here in our 3D reality in the month of August? It is August, isn't it? Yeah, August.
Yeah, just about still.
Just about still, August 2021. We're talking about the now. No history, no future, just now. Why are they here? Why have they come into our 3D reality now?
Because this is a massive time for the human experience to evolve. Massive, massive, massive. And we seem to be going about it all the wrong way. So we're being helped, we're being intervented to say, don't do this, don't do that, this is that. Some people are already getting that we need to look after our planet.
Yeah.
We need to stop the pollution. We need to stop the cruelty, the wars, because consciousness doesn't welcome that in. Consciousness will allow the experience, but consciousness doesn't welcome it in because consciousness is trying to get everything to be as it should be. Nature just has to be.
Yeah. Nature flows. That's what we're supposed to do. Nature flows. It flows.
You're right, spot on.
It just flows, and the wave goes, and it creates, it decimates, it creates, it flows. There's inference with other consciousness, and it's just a universe of itself. However, the limited, when we believe that we are limited conscious being, limited, powerless, stupid, don't know anything, insignificant, can't do that, because we've been conditioned, as it should have been, to experience being a human, that's not perceived. At this time, as you've rightly stated, consciousness in the singularity form of Homo sapiens is starting to become aware of the flow of nature, of what existence or beingness or consciousness is truly about. It doesn't matter, even if it's a little peep, it's awakening to its true self. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, that's correct. And like, the more we allow consciousness to come in, the more we recognize that there's more to not life, but more to existence.
Yeah. Being
than what we're experiencing. And the more this little flower opens up, the more the sun's coming in to make it blossom, shall I say.
So that's a really, you use such beautiful poetic analogies. I'm like that speedboat, you know, and that's the way it should be. That is the way it should be. It should be the same experience coming from different ways. And it's beautiful to listen to another being express their truth of what's going on with us. Because there's no right and there's no wrong. It's just the consciousness knowing itself through different experiences and coming basically to the same conclusion. I like that. Very, very, you should definitely write that book, love.
The thing is, this time is so exciting. Yeah. People like walking around with their heads down, oh, what's coming next? But they don't go beyond that and see the excitement of the evolution of the whole expansion.
Yes.
That's about to erupt, and it's going to be like a shower of golden rain, and like, if you only would look past the drudge, the dark shadows, whatever's bringing you down, if you would only look past that, you would see it. And I feel that this podcast and the people who recognise it, we're all here for the reason to open and expand it as much as possible. So these people who live in this reality where they're told what to do, this, that, and the other,
yes,
these people have something to grasp onto. These people have a door they can open should they wish to. And I'm not saying everybody will wish to, because
some choose not to. Some choose to experience that reality.
That's right. But that's their choice, and maybe they're not ready for all this. But in a future life, or on a future planet, or whatever, they will.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I always say, you know, that the most simplest, what Homo sapiens sapien human beings have forgotten is a basic, simple, innate action. Is you have a choice to choose.
That's right.
And this is being in present times highlighted like, hello, you have a choice. Like something is shouting out, if you don't like what's in your reality, you're creating it, change it. Have a choice. You don't have to comply. If you tell me, oh, Gloria, you have to get up at, I don't know, 6 o'clock in the morning if you want to work for me and hang about, and I'm going, well, no, I'm not complying to that. Piss off. No, and if you don't like it, go and find some other, you know, walking dead to do that. No, because I'm devaluing my true self to be used and abused and controlled by another. So if you want that experience, and my God, have I experienced that in the past, you know, Oscar-winning victim mode, then I chose to experience that then. But now, as you have emphasized, we need to go a bit more. It's really important. I'm trying to say it with a smile on my face. It's really important that this time in August 2021, look at your choices, come out of the box. Something is happening in your reality. If you can't see that consciousness is showing you it's not real, can you not see it's an experience you've gone through? Let's use the terminology, it's time to wake up. We'll just use that, yeah? Even though consciousness does not sleep, but it's in the illusion, or whatever you want to call it, it's time to wake up. You know, look what we're trying to wake you up by giving you an illogical action to do. So if you give me here's a logical action. sorry, I'm going on. I'm just trying to get this out. It's hard to articulate what I'm trying to say. So if you say to me, Faye, Gloria, do not put your hand on the gas burner, okay? Because if you put your hand on your gas burner, it's going to burn your finger. Yeah? Well, that's quite logical, isn't it?
Yeah.
I will at some point as a child put my hand near and go, no,
yeah.
I'm not doing. So you're doing that out of love, compassion, and value. So it's sensible. Because if I don't follow that instruction, then I'm going to harm myself and feel pain and suffering. Correct? Okay.
Yeah.
What we're seeing now, though, is instructions, let's be careful how we word this, to do something that's not logical. It's illogical. It goes against the true nature of beingness. And people are going, I comply, yes. And they're not seeing that. Does that make sense to what I'm saying to you? One thing beingness is, a human being, its true essence is unconditional love, compassion, inspiration, joy, to look at another. If they've fallen down, pick them up. If they're hungry, feed them. It's part of the human experience. If they've suffered, attempt at least to heal them or to listen to them in their truth. Then they're being, you could perceive in the illusion, the erosion of that the natural state of the limited conscious being, Homo sapiens sapien, is being eroded, and those natural freedom to express who you are individually is being taken away because you're choosing to give it up. And I've said this with Robert, no one is forcing any of us to do anything. We choose. There's no wrong or right choice. You choose your reality, what you want to experience. But let's not do the blame game because we're aware of who we are. That, oh, they did this to me, and no, you're complying. You know, I spent many years as a counsellor doing on domestic violence in massive groups. And the first thing I noticed that most people should be aware of by now is called the Stockholm Syndrome. The Stockholm Syndrome.
Yeah.
I see this this dream world, this experience as at the biggest scale I've ever seen of the Stockholm Syndrome, and trying to unpick. You have a choice, but you have these beliefs that you're such a limited being, and you're depowering yourself with that itself. You can actually say no, I don't want to experience that. Does that make sense to you? What we perceive to be chaos at the moment is basically just us, even as an go on the singularity. We have a choice. Do I want to experience that or do I not? Do I want to grow or do I want to, from the human experience, awaken to know my true self? Does that make sense as to part of why we're here? To go through this process of, and that's why it's so hard. Well, it's not hard, but it's perceived to be illusionally really hard at the moment.
But then going on to that is like the different levels, isn't there, of how much consciousness you accept.
Yeah.
And people can get in the mode of, just say, comfort.
Yes, yeah.
And anything out of that comfort is a challenge.
Absolutely.
But some of us have different vibrations, different energy forces that accept a challenge. And like I said before, we're not all the same, and we have to grow. But in order to grow, we have to get out of the comfort mode. We have to
Yeah.
We have to see that there's more than what we're living. There's more than what we're experiencing day by day. But there is a level of people, and I'm saying this nicely, that don't want to experience that.
That's fine. That's their choice. That's their choice.
But maybe their siblings, their daughters, their sons, who are evolving from the womb, will start to realise there is more. When you go to people who were taught years ago, they have distinct patterns in their life that they always follow.
Yeah.
If you have a horse and you train it to jump, it will jump when you want it to.
Yeah.
But if you have a horse that runs free in the field, that horse has so different energy.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I'm hearing you.
You know, people, it's scary to look behind the mountain. It's scary to open the door and look what's on the other side. That is scary to some people. But to others, like you, me, and a lot of others, it's like Alice in Wonderland, that you open that up and you
never-ending story. It's like,
wow,
what's this? What's next? However, there is something that resonates through all of this that, and you know, I can't help it. I'm not going alone. I can't. It's me. Does that make sense to you? You got to get it out there. You got to do your podcast. You got to talk to people. You got to smile. You got to, you know, get off cyber world. And even though there's a benefit, go out there and smile at another human being and try to see if they can recognize their own value. That being said, there's another aspect that's really risen to the collective consciousness. Because it hasn't really, well, it has to a degree been dealt with on the individual consciousness, the limited consciousness, is stop this judging, the divide and conquer. Okay, you spoke about the person who doesn't want to go through that door, that's scary, they want to stay. That's fine. That's absolutely, it's a free choice. You have free will. No one as a Homo sapiens sapien, under the universal laws, can touch your free will. You can give it away, but you can't. However, what happens with that person, even though it's okay, they can have their choice, they need to use some discernment. Your choice and your beliefs, you cannot force upon another, even your children. So when others say, I don't choose that reality. It doesn't resonate with me, or I don't want to do it, basically. I have a free choice too. You're not to condemn the other. Okay? I'm seeing like there's an orchestration. Let's divide and conquer the singularities. This is consciousness playing the game of form. And we can see it. And it's like, it's always been there, this division, conditioned to be, because it's a polarity experience, but we've all allowed it to happen. We're all responsible, obviously. We've just allowed this division, them and us, black and white, different races, culture. There's no such thing really, but we played along with the play. And that's what we were supposed to do as singularity of consciousness. But it seems now to me all of that is being fractalized. It's all coming to the surface. Hence why many are perceiving like there's a dark force coming in to crush. They see it in a negative Nelly coming in. As from my perspective, that's my truth, it could change at any time at the moment, is I see it, what is hidden has to be revealed. What we need to face as human beings, judging others is one of them. I am better than you. I deserve more than you. That's a Homo sapien. That is a limited, I'm just a meat body and I'm going to do anything I get what I want. Does that make sense to you? This is what's happening now in the collective illusion. It's here. And it's the first time in recorded conscious memory, current 3D. Let's not go down that road. It's another story. That this has happened. Does that resonate with you, or could you add more to that better than I?
It's got to happen. It's got to happen because the new is replacing the old, and the new is the expansion. The new is the new life, the new freedom, the new creativity, the new arm that goes around you and says, come on, there's more. It's just such an expansion, and we can't judge other people for being Mr. Joe Ordinary. We can't judge other people for not recognizing it. No. Because as we said earlier on, there's one big thing, and it's choice. And how many of those people who live an ordinary Joe Blogg's life end up at the end of their life saying, I wish I had. I wish I'd done this.
I wish I'd made other choices. Yeah. I wish I'd made other choices. Yeah.
That's right. Because they had the choice but didn't recognise it. Yeah. But in order to recognise your choices, you've got to open your arms and welcome all this in.
Yes. Yeah.
Without you opening up to welcome it in, where do you find your choice? Your choice is, oh, I'm really comfortable, I'll stay here. That's fair enough. But in order to expand, to bring us back into the rotation of nature, we have to.
I mean, it's happening. In my reality, it's already happened. This is just the scrags. It's just the residue of the, experience. So in my reality, it's already happened. So it's done. I don't put timelines on it, or, in 5 years, in the year 2020, whatever. In my reality, it's done. I'm aware it's already done. It's done. However. These conversations are part of it, to the, wherever it is or wherever it's going. Now, so all that, I mean, we've really sort of most of them, but I've got a bit of an echo. So if you're hearing it, guys, I do apologize. Blame the okay, not me. They interfere with the electric. Look at me judging. It's not me, darlings. Blame me. That's called judgment. I don't know what's going on. It's just happening. So it's okay. It's not unprofessional. We're just being normal. No more judging anymore. So when we say, why are they interested in us? If we say, why are they interested in us? It's, even though it's blatantly obvious, the deep conversation we've already had. Is there anything else you want to add? Why are they interested in us? I know it's paradoxal after what we just spoke about, but we have to answer. We have to ask questions from believing on being and obviously the conscious being. Why are they interested in us at this present time? To the degree, there have been experiences all through history or whatever, Trevor, in the timeline. But I'm meeting other beings that have had no interest in spirituality at all, don't know anything about it, no need to, in their nice little comfort zones. Thank you very much. I'm sitting here watching my EastEnders or whatever I'm watching every day of the week. Go away. I'm not interested. Or I've got my BBC and ITV news on. They speak the truth. I don't want to hear. But these beings, I'm happy to say, coming from my truth, they're experiencing ED. So with that, and this is increasing, we'll go back into the 3D world, the UFO sightings. Oh my God, daily videos are coming up. They're in the skies. Never before is it like this at the moment in the now. With all that in place, why are they interested in us? What is their part of this in a nutshell?
I think they're interested in us because we are part of them. We come from the ETs. We've got ET heritage because we are all one, and our DNAs are intertwined with them, and they're finding their lineage. They're trying to educate their lineage the same way as we're educating them with things we've learnt on the earth. So it's a combination of two intelligences coming together to create consciousness.
I love it. I mean, most people are not aware, but I'm soon will be aware. There is a lot of information out there. These beings, because they've always been in our 3D reality, always. We do have, there are some, if you go back to ancient civilization, they've always been here. Always been here. They're in the Bible, they're in Sumerian tablets, they're on pictures, they're on cave. I mean, they've always been here. But this is different now. This is different. It's it's like a spirit. Could we call it? Could we try and be clever than Roberts and bring in some new technologies? You know what I mean? The non-Italian. Is this? Could we say this is? Well, I do. It's my truth. This is not a human awakening. This is a spiritual awakening. This is a spiritual end of the world as we know it. Oh, that's a scary one.
Well, I think everything's spiritual. It's just recognizing the spiritual side of things. Everything's got a spiritual energy, and I'm not a religious person, but you go back to when Jesus was, or whatever he was on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
He had many followers because it was a similar thing. He was opening people up to, they could heal.
Yes.
People up to the idea that death isn't the end.
Yes.
All these things. And ever since he left the earth, or we killed him off, or whatever you like to call it, there's always been this thing, he will come again. And this is part of him coming again, but not in
a physical form.
Exactly. And it's so much bigger and so much more expansive. And we don't need a guy there with a beard saying, no, I can heal, because we're all realizing that we can do it anyway.
Exactly. We can heal. We can float through walls. We can gravitate things. We can communicate via telepathy, especially if you're a medium. We can do all these things, and even this being Jesus said. He said all that. You can do this too. You can do what I'm doing. There's no difference.
That's right.
So it's I call it this spiritual. I have to use terminologies whilst in the suit. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a spiritual Armageddon. It's a spiritual.
Jesus coming back.
It's not Jesus coming back. It's spiritual.
That's right.
Consciousness. So I'm using words that don't resonate. I don't use them so much, but trying to explain it out of the juxtaposition. If I'm explaining it from a Homo sapien, this is my experience. That's how I would define it that way. That come from consciousness. That comes out like people go, what the heck? What are you talking about? So I have to go that way just to get a door open to what. So when you become aware of that, when you open the door to that slightly, the first thing will happen is you drop fear that is making you make the choices you don't want to make as a victim. That's the first thing, you know. I don't fear that no more. Wow. I'm going over there now. Because it's fear, this illusionary fear, the condition of fear, you know, and obviously we know where it comes from religion. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. You need to, we believe, do what we say, and when we say it. And if anyone else doesn't believe what we say, don't kill them and talk to them. So this is coming up now. We need
yeah.
It's like if you want to, I'm not a follower of karma. In the Homo sapien, yes, but not consciousness, the juxtaposition. But if I'm coming from a human perspective, this is the collective karma coming up now. It's coming up. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Stop, you know, forcing others to take on your belief. Say you need to do it because I say you need to do it. I don't give a shit you don't want to do it, and it's going to harm you, devalue, minimize you, and shut you up. You're doing it. That, to me, is the button that's being pressed now for individual conscious beings to go, what the fudge? No, I'm going to make a different choice. Fear will drop. How does that resonate with you? Because we have to address current times, but in a conscious, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, fear is a creation you create yourself.
Yeah.
And every living thing has fear. I mean, animals have fear, and the biggest fear is death. But I don't fear death, and most people who've had experiences or are spiritual don't fear death, because we know all it is kicking the body off and saying, okay, I'm free, you know.
No, it's like, what? No, I don't want to go back to the human experience. No, you're going back. No, I don't want to go back. That's, you know, why? You're not finished yet. Get on with it. You know, I want to go back to the animals, and I learned something really. I was learning from everybody, and I didn't know what it was. Some scientific, natural history, whatever, 12 years ago. And this awakened me. It was just talking about, you know, fear itself. What is fear? And he said, let me tell you the difference between the consciousness of the animal kingdom and the human kingdom. Say if we got a lion and a deer, because I don't know many big animals. I'm not going to get the right one, but I know a lion, the hunter lion, and the deer. And the lion will chase the deer because it's not an intention. I hate you. You're different to me. You're not the same shape or colour as me. I'm going to kill you. No, the lion, true essence and nature of that consciousness is to eat food. Now let's go to the deer and even go Bambi. Let's really get into it here. And Bambi is running from the lion in absolute fear and trying to outwit and make different choices, go this way, that way. And I love it when you see it on the natural programs when they get away from the lion's mouth. I go, yay! You love
I always do that.
I really get involved.
I'm going, run.
I'm going, yeah, go! You know, and if it catches it, I just get away from it. I can't watch it. But let's go back.
I'm the same.
Yeah, let's go back. And so what, but the reason for this story, there is reason in my madness sometimes, is it has been proven that Bambi the deer, I think it's within 1 minute or under 2 minutes or whatever, that fear, I'm going to die, and running to save, within a space of a couple of minutes, whoosh, and is forgotten. It gets up and starts, no memory of it. It doesn't cling to the fear. It doesn't stick. And that was an eye-opener for me many years ago. I'm really killing this analogy. I do apologize. I'm paraphrasing. I do apologize. I haven't haven't got it across as it was. But then if you look at the human, so you're coming for me with a knife. I had Robert yesterday, you know, Cyberwell. You're coming for me with a knife, yeah. Okay. I'm running, I'm trying to get away from you, and I'll have fear. I will have fear. And I'm just Ninja Turtle, so I jump on the roofs and get away from you, whatever. In a couple of minutes, my heart rate will slow down, just like the animal kingdom, but I will stick to that fear and start telling a story of my fear. And I will keep bringing it back and bringing it back. And that energy, I'm creating it. What is a natural, innate human response to be a human is a flight or fright, like an animal. Yeah. It is said our ancestors, I don't know if they were really cavemen, they're more likely had mobile phones for all we know. Everyone lies, don't they? But anyway, let's just believe it for now. Our ancestors, the hunter-gatherer, in their reality, they didn't hang on to fear. They couldn't. They'd all be depressed and committing suicide because they lived every day of their life either being hunted or the hunter. Does that make sense to you, this fear thing, and how we've grown it and made it and believe it to be true, when all it is a response? If I put my hand to that burner, cause and effect, but I don't have trauma for the rest of the millennium.
No, you've learned to listen. You've learned to listen, haven't you?
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Fear is a big reality. I mean, you've seen it with these people fleeing from war-torn countries.
Yeah.
But then I have a friend in, where did she come from? Israel or somewhere. And her son is in the army there, and she has the fear every day that he may be killed. And I said to her once, how do you live a life in a country like that? And she said, you just get used to it. She said, it's everyday life. So that put it all in a different perspective to me, to think that you could get used to living with fear, and you can get used to living with fear.
You can. I mean, I can, I resonate with that because I've never feared anything. The only thing I ever did fear was the family that I was born in, the parent. So because of the what was occurring, and it was daily, I became like an animal and just lived on the sixth sense and didn't really hold on to it. I was just surviving. So I can relate, not like a war-torn country, but for 17 years from birth, every day trying to survive, like a Russian roulette system. So I can relate to that. I can only relate to it because I've experienced something similar. There you go, the orange thing. So I get that. I get that. However, because I could read, it was a natural state to be in, I suppose, and it must be a natural state for Bambi to be in. There's no big deal, you get used to it. But when I think maybe, I don't know, if you haven't experienced such, then maybe the fear that comes in, or we talk about those that either see ghosts or whatever they see, or even they have this traumatic experience. It's unknown, normal, outside of themselves, of what they're knowing of, but that experience is coming in with the information for them to know this. Does that make, for the polarity, does that make any sense, or did I go off somewhere?
No, because like I said, that lady said she overcomes fear, and when you first have contact with UFO or ETs, it scares the hell out of you. It did me. But in time, I overcome the fear, and now I don't regard it as scary. And you, as a child, you would find ways to avoid circumstances that put you in that position where you were scared. And you know, we all have the strength, we all have the intelligence to learn to live with fear and map our lives so we avoid it.
Yes.
And it doesn't become an issue.
No, exactly.
If you accept death, then you avoid fear. If you don't accept death, then you welcome fear in, because the fear of dying is the main thing.
Well, I think it's the ultimate. Yeah, I agree. It's the ultimate fear. Every individual conscious being has a fear of death, unless they've experienced a near death or
That's right.
or an ET experience. You know, one of those, when they realise, I cannot die. This isn't me. You know, it's just, yeah, I get that. This is another thing, big fear that's about now, where choices need to be made. It's what's happening now in the collective reality, in this dream or simulation or whatever, is the fear of death on a collective scale.
That's right. And that's how the powerful become more powerful. Because they're wielding the weapon of death, the weapon of fear. Years ago, I had some writing from the ETs, and they wanted to know what fear was, because they didn't understand it, which is makes perfect sense to me. Why would they understand fear? And they said, what was fear? And I answered back and said, well, there's all sorts of fear. There's fear of dying. There's fear if you're up against somebody powerful, and like, say you went for a job interview, you're scared when you go. There's fear that we create ourselves when we go on a silly fairground ride that scares.
I did that. Hands up, I did that. Yeah, I did.
There's all different concepts of fear, because they said if we could understand fear, we could communicate so much better. And that is spot on.
I agree with that.
You know, if fear's taken away, and I feel that's why sometimes they come in spirit form of somebody you know, or they come in a form that's an angel, form is Jesus, a form is, I don't know, a child or whatever. They come in the form that enters your heart as easy as it can.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Well, on that note, as we come to the close, it's been an absolutely riveting, deep, loving conversation. Two people in the Zoom room. You on the GP? No, she's not really. I'm lying.
Oh, I wish.
I'm on and
water.
We're in the middle of the day now in the UK, which is wonderful. Not late at night. I thank you for coming on the podcast. Just having a conversation. It's been fantastic. I look forward to our panel conversation when we're all on, and who knows what will happen there. Before we close the podcast, if you could give anything to the audience watching, inspirational, just anything short and sweet. Just
the inspirational thing I can say is be yourself, be who you are, recognise who you are and live it.
I love it. And on that note, everybody, thank you for watching the podcast. And thank you for listening to the conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time for another conversation. Bye, guys.
Bye.